Hey everybody, Mr. Rubo here. Today we're going to talk about writing, can't spell, writing a quadratic equation when given just some information. So depending on what you're given, you're going to do it one of three ways. So the first way is, let's get this working. There we go. So the first way is if you are given a coordinate point and the vertex. So if you are given the vertex as, let's say, 1, -2, and just a random point, and this point can be anything other than the vertex, so they can't give you the vertex twice, 3, 2. What we're going to do this is we're going to start with thinking, oh, well, it's the vertex, so let's start with vertex form. X minus h squared plus k. Well, guess what? We have h and k. We just don't have a. So the way we're going to figure this out is we do have an x and a y, though. So we can substitute those in to help us find a. So we're going to say 2, because y is the same as f of x. A we don't know. X is 3 minus h, which is 1 squared, plus k, which means plus -2, which is the same as -2. Now it's just a matter of simplifying this. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So that becomes 4a minus 2 equals 2. Something I do see students do every once in a while is they like, oh, this is 4 minus 2 is 2, so it's 2a. That's wrong. Okay, make sure you simplify the exponent first, the parentheses exponent, and this is being multiplied by a. This doesn't have an a, so you cannot combine those two. So you would add 2 and then divide by 4. So we get that a here would be 1. So our final answer would be f of x equals 1. Don't need to write it though. X minus 1 squared minus 2. Okay, so if it's in vertex, if it give you a vertex and a point, start with vertex form, and it's the same process. Okay, now let's talk about if we are given something else. So if we are given, let's say, the x-intercepts, and now they can tell it to us a few different ways. They can either just say x-intercepts are these 2 points, so -1 and 4. They could also just given us like the coordinate point, -1, 0, and 4, 0, right? So you should be able to recognize either way they write it, that they are the x-intercepts. And then just like before, they also have to give us another point. So let's say 3, 2 again. So for this one, because we're given x-intercepts, we're going to do factored form. So it's f of x equals a x minus p x minus q. Well, guess what? We have p and q. We have an x and a y, so now we can solve for a. So 2 equals a. X is 3 minus p, which is minus 1, so plus 1. X again is 3 minus 4. So now it becomes 2 equals, that's 4, that's -1, so -4a. Just make sure I did my math right. And then a equals -1/2. So for this one, the equation will be f of x equals -1/2 x plus 1 x minus 4. That's a 4. All right. Okay. So should be pretty straightforward, right? Vertex, you use vertex form. Factored, or x-intercepts, you use factored form. Okay. So now the last thing we'll see is when we're just given 3 random points. Okay. So if we're not given the vertex, or if we're not told it's the vertex, we might be given it, we just don't know it. But if we're just told 3 random points, and they could be like one of the x-intercepts, but if it doesn't tell you the other one, or they don't tell you that it's the same one for both, you're kind of stuck, right? So here we're given 3 x-intercepts. Three x-intercepts. 3 coordinate points. Not an x-intercept, not an x-intercept, it's the y-intercept, but that doesn't matter, and not an x-intercept. So there's 2 ways we could go about this. One way, I'm not going to have you do in class, but you could create a system of equations using these. It works. You'll be able to figure out your a, b, and c. It is a lot of work, though, by hand. Instead, what we're going to end up doing is doing these in our calculator. So, hey, look at that. There's our little calculator. So what you're going to do is you're going to store these into your table. So you're going to hit Stat. Then you're going to go up to Edit. And I've got stuff in mind, so I'm going to clear them out. But then, once you have it ready, you're going to enter in your x's in for L1. So -1, enter, 0, enter, 2, enter. And then you're going to put your y's in L2. So -3, enter, -4, enter, and 2. I'm sorry, and 6. Helps if I can read. And so we could see, oh, there's the first coordinate point, there's the second, there's the third. Okay. Now we're going to let the calculator do all the work. You're going to hit Stat again. You're going to go over to Calculate. And then we want the 5th option, that is quadratic regression. Okay, so that should hopefully make sense. We're dealing with quadratics here. So we want quadratic regression. Depending on your calculator, you might get this menu, or it could just say quad regression. Either way, you just want to hit enter or calculate. And here you go. So it tells you, hey, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Here's your a, b, and c value. So your answer is just that equation. So yeah, 2x squared plus x minus 4. All right. So 2x squared plus 1x, or just x, minus 4. And you could say y equals, or f of x equals. Okay. So yeah, when you're given 3 random points, for our sake, we're just going to use the calculator instead of trying to solve a system. Okay. So thanks again for watching, and have a good day.